Recording and should be live. Cool. It is live. Awesome. Where's my chat? Where's my chat? Where's my chat? Oh, all right. Welcome, welcome. We're just going to be starting in a few minutes. All right, let's pull this thing. Here we go. If you guys happen to have like an address that you want to get analyzed of any properties, drop it in the chat. Just type in the address, and once we get like analyzing on some deals, we'll start analyzing some addresses that people provide us. And also provide us like the strategy of what that property is or any other information if you have any other information so far. So that way it helps it understand what the strategy is. Sometimes I'm able to understand what the properties need, what the property needs in terms of like just by looking at the pictures or if there's any information at all. Or I'm just going to take a ballpark on what the strategy will be. But other than that, if you don't have an address, it's perfectly fine. And if you do and you want a property to get analyzed, again, drop it in the chat and we'll get to it once we start doing the live analysis after the presentation. Okay. Meanwhile, we'll give some people some time to come in. I'm sure we're having like a handful of people coming in a few minutes. And if not, some of them always join in like in the middle of the presentation, so it's fine. Property to get analyzed. Drop it. Drop address in the chat. Let's any details. T property. All right, cool. There we go. Oh, that's I'm not supposed to be touching any of that. All right, and time is it? All right, just gotta give it a few more minutes. Let people coming in. Some people are probably still getting off from work. What's today? Wednesday. So we'll get started. If you happen to be new in the chat, let us know if you're new or what kind of experience you have as well too on the chat, because this is also like a network event as well too. So if you want to introduce yourself, let me take those here. But yeah, if you guys want to engage with one another, by all means, definitely engage with one another. And then drop your contact information if you're a wholesaler, agent, someone that you like to work with, or if you're a buyer as well too. It'll definitely help it out to understand where you're buying from and what kind of deals you are looking for as well too. But let's see. We'll go ahead and get started. Again, people will be joining as we go through the presentation, so let's get started. Welcome to another episode. This is episode number 24 of our real estate life wholesaling analysis on meetup.com. All previous meetups events are always recorded and posted on my website at eltonvargas.com on the real estate education. I think it's about 25 or 30 hours worth of content already in there of previous meetups events. So if you want to educate yourself on real estate investing, wholesaling, and we talk a little bit about everything pretty much on this series. It's a series where we analyze a lot of properties, if there's address providers, or we pick random markets and we go based on those markets and analyze what kind of opportunity it provides us. Yeah, sometimes if there's deals available, especially deals that are on the market, I always like to call it out, and whoever's doing wholesaling, investing, or whatever they're doing in terms of real estate in that market, I always call it out and say, for anybody who's interested in that property, take it out because I'm basically doing the homework already for you. All you have to do is just reach out for the whoever the seller, the agent, or whoever it is that has that information. Just get in touch with them and try to bring an offer in. If it makes sense to bring an offer into that opportunity. But my name is Elton, wholesale for the last 10 months. Try to look for my own investments at this point now, just because it's time for me to open up like my own portfolio. And a little bit more background for me or about me. It's I used to do sales, so I have a decade worth of sales under me, all different types of sales as well too, and just working with teams. So always been in that management position where I'm always coaching and teaching everybody else how to develop and people who never had any sales experience. I've helped out all those new hires and then coach them up within 30 days. We turn them into like shark animals. So I've been part of that industry as well too, of coaching and sales. So I have that under me. And my background has been engineering, so numbers come out really easily for me. So when it comes to like analyzing in terms of real estate, it just flawlessly comes out rather quick for me, just because it's pretty simple numbers from there. But other than that, I want to keep it very minimal about me and just want to get started on this series because this series is all about giving you guys the most educational that I have and answer any questions that you happen to have along the way of the presentation. So if you're starting real estate, wholesaling, investing, or whatever your journey is, however much experience you have from 0 days to 10 years or 10 or 20 years, it doesn't matter. You're all welcome. So again, it is a healthy community that we have available over here, but let's open it up for anybody who has any questions. Again, regardless of your levels, open it up to ask all your questions and as much as possible, and we'll go from there. So with that being said, let's just get right into it. So when it comes to real estate wholesaling, real estate wholesaling, there is a series of of events for you to get like a deal done. It's not just getting a property in contract and then assign that contract. You have to get in touch with people. You have to either contact sellers, you have to contact agents, you have to analyze the property, you have to get the property in the contract, you have to bring offers in, you have to negotiate on those contracts even as well too. You have to have an inspection period. So there's a numerous amount of steps which they're laid out over here. What this series mainly focuses on is understanding where the offer should be coming in and where your numbers on that offer should be coming in as well too. But along the way, through my experience, is I learned other strategies that can definitely be possible. So it's not just about wholesaling. You have to understand, you have to open up your arsenal belt to different strategies, because there are numerous amount of strategies that investors are implementing now into like their deals that can make it a deal. So it's not just like the standard route of oh, I'll buy the property at 70% and that's pretty much it. No, right now with today's markets, with today's rates as well too, things are changing. So things are always constantly changing in terms of real estate. So you always have to like enhance yourself and develop yourself into learning new skills and new strategies that can help definitely help you out in terms of, again, if you're investing, if you're flipping, if you're wholesaling, if you're doing some Airbnb, it really opens it up. So you have to like again be open to learning all those new strategies. But going back to our series, the series, it's all about analyzing like the deals, analyzing how much it can sell for, how much where you should be bringing like your contract in, and of course understanding repairs. So getting into into that type of analysis, we all start off with ARV, and what ARV is basically the one of the big fundamentals to where it will get you started in terms of like analyzing a deal. And what ARV is after repair value, basically a property that if it's outdated, no matter if it's like a few years, like 10, 15 years, all the way up to 80, 100 years as well too, or even more. If the property it's really outdated or needs some type of work, it's what the property will be worth once it gets fully updated. A lot of investors always look for equity off the bat as well too from a lot of these deals if they want to hold on to the property, or even if they want to fix and flip. Again, they already have a good amount of equity on the property as well too, besides just flipping on the property. So again, it's just part of like their strategy process. But ARV is the number one thing that we have to understand, because again, it creates that opportunity that if the ARV is significantly high and the price is significantly low, then it's a great opportunity. That's what you have to consider each property as an opportunity. So not every opportunity is you're going to be moving on forward with it. But again, it really depends on where the ARV is going to be standing on a lot of the deals. If it's going to be a fix and flip, or if it's going to be a buy and hold, or any other type of strategies, we still need that ARV as the main fundamental. But when it comes to each single investor doing um, their own implementing their own strategies into it, they all do their numbers very differently. So investor one, two, and three, they do their numbers across the board very differently. Across the nation, though, there are common investors. So investor one and two are the most common ones. And I'll show you guys how, because I've created a calculator that can help you identify both of them. I'll consider investor number one to be more on the aggressive side, and investor number two more on the conservative side. And then, of course, you're going to have investor three, four, five that, again, they're going to be they do a lot of business in that area. So now they're able to create like their own type of analysis and their own type of way they like to calculate a lot of the numbers, and that's how they're able to find out a lot of the deals in that market that they're doing business in. So it's just, again, it's just part of gaining the knowledge and experience from that. Now, the next thing that we have to understand as well too, it says it on the word, it's repairs, or again, we have to update like the property. So what kind of repairs the property is going to need. And part of that is that when it comes to repairs, I like to keep it very down to like the average. The reason why is no matter, it always happens. It would always happen to anyone and everyone. Is if I estimate based on my calculator and I estimate my numbers based on these average repairs per square foot on a single property, yeah, if I bring the property to an end buyer, they're always going to be telling me that the property either needs more, or they're able to get away with the property's repairs a lot less. An example will be if I bring a $45,000 worth of repairs property, if I bring it over to investor number one, he's going to end up telling me, or she's going to end up telling me that the property needs, they're able to get away with $35,000 worth of repairs. If I bring it over to investor number two, then the property is going to need close to like $60,000 worth of repairs, because they found during the inspection or doing their the process of looking at the property inside. Maybe they send a contractor, they send an appraiser, they send somebody to look it out internally. Besides just looking at pictures, they came to the conclusion that the property needs more than what is actually anticipated. Again, it's just part of the process, so it's perfectly fine for you to get those type of reactions. But do understand some buyers use that as a strategy to bring your price a lot lower from what it is that you're asking. So again, it's be able to understand where the buyer is coming from. But if it doesn't fit to that buyer, then it's not really going to be the best fit for them. So it's not always about forcing a deal. Don't get forced into just getting like a quick deal. Again, understand where they're coming from, accept it, accept the feedback. But as well, just I'll constantly look for a different buyer. Again, a buyer that it's willing to take the property at your price, or they understand where it's coming from. So you probably are going to negotiate like a little bit, not as significantly a lot from there. But going back to the repairs across the nation, these are going to be this average repairs. There are going to be states where the prices are going to be a lot higher, and that's the reason it's going to come down to labor. Those states are going to be like California, Texas, Florida, New York, Massachusetts, Washington, you name it. There's going to be like a lot of states out there that it's really expensive, and not on the material side, but again, it's going to be mainly on like on the labor side. So that's what's going to push some of these average repairs, because again, these are average price per square foot on those repairs that we're looking into. The example of the light repairs, these are going to be more properties that are, if you're looking at properties that are either being rented out or they're already in great shape, they just need like a few touches. That's going to be more in the light repairs, more in the average repairs. These are going to be properties that we start looking into for fix and flippers. These are going to need some work in the main areas of a property, like kitchen, bathroom, entrance, windows, flooring, anything as well too. Maybe some plumbing, and maybe some extra stuff like the roof, if anything. Paint, of course, just to bring a new color scheme into it, and maybe update like some appliances. And occasionally some gardening. Some people, some buyers don't like to do the gardening, but that's what those average repairs are going to be. It's mainly those bigger areas, or like the main areas that a person will spend a lot of time in the home, which is usually the kitchen, bathroom, and like the living space area. And of course, again, occasion like the backyard as well too. But of course, we have to keep a touch on anything else that just looks a little bit outdated or might just need some extra work from there. Next is going to be the gut job repairs. Gut job repairs, this is like a full demolition on the property. This is going to need, again, either take down the whole thing or the entire building and basically start all over again from like the foundation, or just tear everything down because it has when you look at the internal wood or the internal panels that's holding up the entire property, they're really solid. It was just like the walls need to take down, the floors need to get replaced, just double check on the foundation in case it needs anything. But this is kind of like a full nightmare type of home. You'll find a lot of these in all the areas. Occasionally it just depends where it is that you're looking for. If you're looking in like C and D class areas, then those are the ones that you got to get cheap homes. But again, cheap homes basically mean that they need a significantly amount of more work than areas that are B and C class. So again, it really depends on where exactly you're looking for. I usually find a lot of these in Chicago. So Chicago, Indiana, it's another area as well too, where just properties just get mistreated, and you're gonna find a lot of those out there. And usually they're priced under $50,000. So that's how you're able to tell from it. Some areas might be a little bit more because again, the area might be more expensive, or maybe just like the state overall might be more expensive, but it's just they're gonna be very, very cheap type of properties. But cheap properties means that they need a full gut job updates inside of them. Now, whenever we're analyzing properties, again, we understand we need ARV. Part of the ARV is understanding how much the property needs in terms of repairs. Now, we have to find properties that have sold. So we gotta go in the past. It's sold, something that is under contract or pending. So present and then future, or what's currently being listed on the market. We have to find comparables or comps. And whenever we're looking for those comps, we want to make sure we stick within certain parameters. And these parameters or restrictions are basically what an appraiser will look into on a property. So once the property gets fully updated and the end buyer, or if I happen to be the end buyer and I want to find out how much the property is it worth that ARV that I found, or is it worth more than the ARV that when I did my analysis? And then that appraiser is going to look for similar homes that are fully updated, and they're going to stick within these certain parameters to make sure that they're able to calculate what the property's value is with the new current update. So whenever you're looking at those, you want to stick with these parameters. So the first parameter is the living space. If you're looking at a 1,500 square foot home, it's going to be plus or minus 300. So plus 300 is going to be 1,800. Minus 300 is going to be down to 1,200. So from 1,200 to 1,800 is that range where you want to look for comps. Lot size, this it varies depending if you're comparing acres. So if you're looking at a lot of farm style homes or a lot of Midwest homes, you're gonna find properties that have acres and acres of land. A quarter of an acre, half an acre, or 1 acre. It starts from there. That's when you want to start comparing lot size. But if your property doesn't does it will show in the description how many acres the property is. It will just automatically go with a quarter of an acre. Once you see a quarter of an acre, that's when you start have to start comparing the lot size. But that's again, these are going to be more farm style or a lot of Midwest homes that just have a lot of land available. That's where you have to analyze it. But other than that, if there's no acres involved, then you're perfectly fine with just comparing the square footage of the living space. Next is make sure that you stick within a specific radius, which is half mile to a 1 mile radius. The biggest thing with this radius, though, is make sure that you're not crossing high traffic roads or double yellow line roads. Double yellow line roads are going to be roads where um, there's like a heavy traffic in the morning from commuters, buses, construction trucks, delivery trucks, you name it. It's just a heavy main road where there's constantly flow of traffic every single day, where it basically splits up two neighborhoods. So one neighborhood on one side is, one side of the road is going to be one neighborhood, and the other side of the road is going to be a different neighborhood. No matter how similar the homes, if I'm comparing one property on one side, no matter if I find a similar home on the other side or a comp that it's exactly the same, same year, same size, same everything, I'm not able to pull that property as a comp just because of that main high traffic road. That high traffic road is basically splitting up the two neighborhoods. And again, appraisers are going to be looking within the same neighborhood whatsoever. So again, no matter how similar they are, if you are pull a comp that it's in the other side of a high traffic road, that comp won't really work for you whatsoever because again of that high traffic road. It's just considered a danger area, and appraisers are going to be staying away from those roads, so they're going to stick to the same neighborhood of your subject property. Next is the years of the home. You want to make sure they're at least 5 to 10 years apart from each other. And whenever you're trying to find comps, you want to at least find 3 comps on the market. Again, this is going to be varying from properties that sold, properties that are currently under contract, and then properties that are for sale at the moment. So past, present, and then future. That's what the market is going to be telling you. So it should be easy to find these comps. But again, it depends on the market that you're located because some markets, some areas are going to be more investor friendly or where there's a lot of investors into that area. So you're going to be able to easily categorize a lot of these properties, and we'll do some examples as well too. So you're going to be able to see what those properties look like where I'm able to pull as a comp. Again, most of the time that we're analyzing some of these random properties, if there's no specific address for me to analyze, then by all means, it's going to be we're going to be finding like 1 or 2 comps. And again, I got to find at least 3 of them. So it's just going to be part of the process that you guys got to be seeing that. But also what's going to help expedite like the process is having like a calculator that's definitely going to help me analyze the property a lot faster. So along the way, I created like my own calculators. So if you guys, which we're going to be using those as well too, and we're going to be using some of these free resources, Redfin, Zillow, PropWire, but the calculators as well too help me expedite and analyze like the deals. So if you guys want to have access to the calculators, head over to eltonvargas.com/calculators and use the coupon code Super Bowl 24. You're gonna get 50% off, and then you're gonna get off the Pro bundle. The Pro bundle is gonna give you access to the ARV calculator, the complete rental one, which we're gonna use both of them. There's a creative finance one that's coming soon, and then there's could be a CRM that you're gonna have access to, so that way you can keep a track of all your properties. So all that comes with the Pro bundle, and you get a discount on the other ones, but that's gonna be individually. So if you want to check them out through there. But other than that, let's look for some properties for us to analyze, and let's see what we're able to find out or where exactly we're gonna be heading off to today. I'm gonna be using this spin the wheel. Let me pull it up real quick. Here it is. I'm gonna pull a random city over here and see where it lands us, so that way we can start analyzing some of these deals. And today we have, where's it at? Concord, New Hampshire. So let's use Concord, New Hampshire, NH. Awesome. So this is going to be my ARV calculator that I'm going to be using to like analyze it. Again, I'm going to be using Zillow. I'm also going to be using Zillow Rent Estimator if we happen to come across a property that it's a rental. But let's check it out over here. And I'm going to be showing you guys some of my filters that I like to use when I'm looking for deals on the market. So these are deals that are happening live right now in today's market in New Hampshire, in Concord, New Hampshire. So let's see what we're able to find out. There's not a lot of properties over here. So I always like to, again, if you're depending on your area, if you happen to be like in a small town area, you always want to find like the closest, biggest city to you. My closest biggest city to Concord, New Hampshire. It's not. It's definitely Boston, but Boston is in Massachusetts, so I have to look for probably either Manchester or um, Rochester as well too. Let me see which Rochester splits up. And so I'm gonna use Rochester just because it's a little bit bigger of a metro area. So I know for sure I'm gonna be able to find some properties over here just because again, Concord, New Hampshire is gonna be a little bit of a smaller area. So again, that's if you happen to be in a small area or a small city or small town. But when I look for the properties that are on the market, I like to look for single family homes on the flip side. And I like for look for properties that are at least 1,000 feet or more, which we only have about 17 properties over here so far. I don't know if a lot of these, I don't know this market, if there's a bunch of them that are new construction or what's going on. And let's see if we're able to find property. These are properties that have been sitting in the market for more than 45 days. So a lot of these looks like they're very updated or they're new construction. And looks like they're not really going to be working at all whatsoever for that market for us. Let's go back to Concord, New Hampshire. Let's see what it pops up. Or even over here on Manchester. Let's see. I'm just looking for some old looking homes. So this is a good example, for the very first one for $520,000. Um, this home just from the outside looks like just a little bit outdated, nothing too crazy. But once I get you able to check it out internally, again, it's going to show you a little bit something. But how long has this been property sitting on the market? Total of 47 days. Not too bad at all. Again, it's just like the outside. Um, take off like those window covers as well too. Just maybe do like some painting on the outside. And again, let's look at the inside, see what it is that we're looking at, which looks like it's in pristine condition inside. Um, just maybe get off like get rid of that wallpaper. Maybe even change like the carpet as well too, because I see there's like that green scheme happening throughout the entire home. So it's just gonna be this is gonna be considered more on those light repairs. Like I was mentioning, it's just the home is in great condition. It's just little things that you have to do internally. But other than that, bathroom's great. Some of the flooring, like I said, that's the stuff that's gonna probably need some work, and then maybe some painting as well too. So get rid of the wall. And it looks like there's the basement. There's a basement. There's going to be the main floor, and there's going to be the upstairs as well too. So 3 levels on this property. So good to have like a picture of all 3 levels or like the blueprints, but looks like overall a great home. But what I like to do before I even dive deep into it is seeing where the property is located and understand the neighborhood as well too. Because who knows? There might be like a prison close by. There might be close to like a train station. Over here we have a river, so I don't know if this is like a high flooding zone as well too. So here's that flooding zone, and it looks like our property is just right below that flooding zone, which it's not too bad. That's what it says over here on the flood factor, but it's literally right there, so you never know. That maybe the flood might rise up over the years, so eventually it might come over here. And I do see that it's like a big land that we're looking into as well too. So that's something else that we have to consider. Not too much like on the heat, air, or anything like that. So it's just perfectly fine. But again, it's good to understand where the property is standing in terms of like the area and the neighborhood. Is it on a C, D, A class neighborhood? The property looks like it's somewhere over here. And it is next to a high traffic road. As you guys can see, there's all the traffic right there. Um, and I think our property has like a driveway to this. I think this is where our property is right over here. So off the bat, because of this high traffic road, um, this property will definitely be one of those properties where if we ever come across a property that's either the high traffic road, it's on the front, on the back, on the left or on the right of the property, it's automatically a 10% discount because again, yeah, you never know. I don't know if there's a lot of drunk drivers around this area, if there's a lot of maniac drivers, and then a car could be easily flying up over here towards the house, or if I don't know how much space is over here as well too, to look into like the home, but that's just something that can happen. That can happen. I don't know if these trees are there as well too, still to this day. So it's just little things that you have to pay attention to. But because of where the property is located at the moment, because of this high traffic road, then this is going to be one of those properties where I definitely have to be very mindful, just because again, of that danger area that we're kind of exposing like the property into, which is this main road over here, which this main road leads over to like maybe a cemetery, or I don't know if it's probably like a cemetery. There's buses as well too. As you guys can see, there's like some bus stops. So there's a bus stop. So again, that confirms it that it's a high traffic area from that we're looking into. So again, this Brown Avenue, it's something that I definitely have to keep in mind as well too. And I don't see anything else besides it's really close to a lot of like a big shopping center as well too, DNV office, some schools close by, parks close by. So overall, it looks like it's in a good area, but the only drawback so far, it's just that main road right there off the bat. So if you're looking at a $520,000 property, then again, automatically it has to be a 10% discount just because of that main traffic. So it's already getting a good deal off so far of $467,000 just because of that main road. So again, that's if the high traffic road, it's either in the front, on the back, on the left, or the right of the home. If you ever come across a property that it's on that area, those type of streets, then automatically take away a 10% discount just because of any liability or any issues that that road can cause onto like the homeowner or the future homeowner who wants to live like in the property. So let's put that into play. So this is going to be a fix and flip property. Again, I'm gonna put my offer or the asking price at that new 467 910, just because again of that main road that we're looking into whatsoever. Next is the square footage. It is a giant home, 3,000 square feet home. So this has to be like owned by a big family. Or and it's gonna need like a lot of maintenance as well too. Now it does have a basement over here, so I definitely have to find out what the basement is. Usually for basements, the um, the property it's usually half of the square footage of the living space. So if the living space is 3,000, it will be half of that. But sometimes some agents describe it over here in their details, and hopefully I'm able to find it. If not, that's perfectly fine. Um, it's a partially finished, but they don't provide the square footage of the basement. But I'm gonna go with 1,500. It was on the plans. I think. I'm not sure if you had like the actual measurements of the basement. Yeah, I just have to like sum all this up for like the basement area. So I just have to go through like all the math. Again, I'm just gonna go based on playing that half number for right now. So this is gonna be a fix and flip. So I'm putting myself first as like if I'm the actual investor like into the property. So again, this will be my offer so far. If I was gonna wholesale and then I'll switch it over to the wholesale. And what this does, it basically gives me what my possible offer is so far. So again, right now I'm trying to fix and flip on this deal, fixing and flipping on the deal, make sure I pay like my sellers closing costs so I definitely get like the a negotiation on the property so far. And of course now I'm gonna look at the repairs. Again, it is a big home, but as I look through it, it does need like some outside work. It does need some internal work. So outside, just some painting, add some little touches as well too. Get rid of those window covers. Internally is going to be some painting, get rid of the carpets and put some keep the vinyl flooring going on just like it had in the kitchen. So we can keep everything hardwood floor. Maybe in the bedrooms, leave like the carpet because I don't know how cold it gets over here in New Hampshire. Um, and then do some painting as well too. So very minimal stuff that we're looking into. So I'm gonna go base this on a $20 per square foot um, price point for those little updates and the basement. So there's the way it works for a basement. If you ever come across a property that has a basement, if we're looking at the living space at $20 per square foot, the basement is going to be half of that price. So half of 20 is going to be 10. So again, it is a big home as well too that we're looking into in terms of like the square footage. And honestly, $75,000, it's a little bit too much for this property. I'll bring it down to like $15 per square foot, just because again, it's already in great condition. So I'll bring down to my half. So 55 to like 60, that's more reasonable in terms of like those updates that it needs. Like I said, we can definitely get away with a lot less from it. But again, I'm playing it safe on my side just in case of anything unexpected comes up. Maybe some electrical, maybe some plumbing, maybe there's mold, termites. Like I said, you never know what's going to be happening. So that's where those extra expenses come. And I'm trying to fix and flip this deal really quickly. So I'm looking for a quick 15% profit. When I'm looking at fixing and flipping, it's going to be 15 to 20%. If you're trying to buy and hold on an investment, on an opportunity, then it's going to be really close to like 10%, maybe a little bit less than 10% on those deals. So far, this is what the property is telling me that I need to resell my property for me to make my 15%, do the updates and buy it at the current asking price, which again, we took out 10% from it, which is that 467. Then the property, I need to resell it close to $656,000 based on what the current asking price is. Again, current asking price minus the 10%. So based on what I put in on my asking price right here. Now, the other side is telling me that if I go based on my offer, so if I bring an offer of $327,000, that's basically already $200,000 worth from like the property itself. I know for sure that offer is going to get rejected, and I need to resell my property close to like 480,000 dollars. But maybe for sure I can tell this property can sell more than $480,000 as well too, just because it's in a great area. But again, it was just in a bad location for it all. So now I have to look for comps. And I have to make sure that my comps either will it back out my resale price based on the asking price, or am I going to be more on the possible purchase price that I need to sell my property for. So that's what we have to do our due diligence. But let's find out what the market is telling us. So again, when I'm looking at properties, I look at the past, present, and future. Right now, I'm looking at the future. So what's actually available right now. And there's another property. The square footage is a lot less from it, so that won't really work whatsoever. So let me look and let's start setting up some filters over here. My filters are going to be plus or minus 300. Um, Unfortunately, Redfin doesn't have like minus 300 specifically that I can niche down. So the closest number that I can get down to is like 2750, and I can't get 3300. So it looks like I have to go with like 4000 in terms of like the square footage. And there's no other properties on that area or the neighborhood as well too. um, that is currently active. So let me look at the currently pending properties, what's currently under contract, and see if there's any activity whatsoever. And there's no other properties under contract at the moment either. So it looks like we just have to rely on what has sold in the last 6 months to like a year. Now, here's the thing. So far, this is like a big drawback on this property because our neighborhood is basically this. We have this freeway right over here. Brown Avenue is that high traffic road that I have to stay away from. So I can't compare any comps on that side. And let me redo this one more time. So there's a, oh, come on. There's the freeway right over here. So Brown Avenue is going to be my road that I have to look up to. And then the river, again, I can't pull any comps across the river. So that's going to be kind of like my neighborhood that I have to look into. So there's no properties that sold in the past 6 months. There's no properties currently under contract at the moment. And there's no other properties selling on the market right now within my neighborhood. Especially sticking with with those high traffic roads. So this is a opportunity where it won't really make a deal whatsoever. So that's why some of these properties are probably going to be sitting. If I remove the outline, we did notice that across the freeway, that's where we start getting some comps, and the comps were a little bit all over the place. One of them was at $430,000, but that sold in August. There's just one that sold same square footage, same type of home as well too, but this sold for double of it, for close to like $700,000. And this sold a little bit more recent, but if you look at the condition of it, this is kind of like the work that we have to do to our subject property. Again, we have to update like the outside, make sure it's updated as well too. But just look at the difference from this one to our subject property. Again, I like the kitchen on this one, but again, it's just little things that can make it extensively better, from appliances to keep having like a color scheme. This is what that's what we have to be doing to like a lot of these properties. We have to modernize like the home, maybe keep the outside as classic as possible to the time frame that it was, but again, the inside is what needs to be done, to currently update it to bring it up to like modern standards or 2024 standards. The only thing about this subject property or this comp property, are they the same year? This is a 1900 home, and this is a 1956 home. So part of the process of analyzing comps or looking for comps is, again, the years. I have to compare 1900, so plus or minus 10 years. This is a 50-year difference of a home. So again, I have to compare apples to apples. This is not an apple that I can pull. So that doesn't really work out for me whatsoever. And then there's this other one that sold for $510,000, same year, October. I mean, same time frame, but again, same thing. It's a 1960s home. So a lot of these homes are just not close to my subject property. So my subject property, it's really outdated in terms of like how old it is. But the condition inside is really pristine, but there's no comps to back it out. And the thing with this is the property is on the market with an agent. So I'll probably have to work with an agent to find to see what kind of comps they pulled or who came up with the asking price. So that sort of thing as well too. Was it the seller that is like firm on this asking price, or is it the agent that the agent did some due diligence and they're able to pull some comps, and that's how they were able to average out like the property in terms of like the price as well too. But in all reality, I don't see any activity happening on this area. So that's the thing. I don't know where the pricing came down from. And so far, in a span of 30 days, the property has only gone down $10,000. Um, so there hasn't been probably there's been people calling out for this one, but maybe no offers whatsoever. So sometimes it's a patience game. So right now it's gonna head over to its 2 months time frame that it's been listed on the market, so 60 days, and maybe they might be doing another price drop from there. So sometimes it's all about playing like the patience game, but also understanding where the price is coming from. So this would be a property that it's not a deal whatsoever, just because there's no data to back it out. The work that it needs is very light, so this could be more like a buy and holding, but that's more analyzing like what the rental market will be. But again, there's no comps to between my range to help me understand if this is a good investment or not a good investment. So my strategy on this, especially when it comes to reaching out to agents, is look, if this deal, if there's no opportunity with this one, what else do you have? Something that might be a little bit closer to like that 1950s or 1960s homes, because again, a lot of the homes that I'm noticing are between 1950s and 1960s based on what have recently sold. So these three comps are 1950s, 1960s. So maybe they might have something else between those years, and that maybe we can get a deal out of those years on these properties, not these older looking ones or 1900s or early 1900 type of properties whatsoever. So this property, a property that's going to be sitting here for a while. So that's my analysis on like this type of property over here whatsoever. Unfortunately, I couldn't go through the entire process of the calculator, but this is the way it will break down. Let me go back to some of these comps. Let's go back to like this 700 asking price. So the way it will go is, let's say I find my comps. I found out that my average comp is selling around $250 per square foot. This is what I will put in over here. I will put in the 250, let me put 250. $250 per square foot on on my property. That's what the average is selling, and it was basically gonna again, the price per square foot is gonna be very different, so that's why I have to find at least three different comps. But I'm just going based on that 250 per square foot price point, and it's gonna tell me how much my property can sell for, or this is what my ARV will be on my property. So if my ARV is 750, I will implement that into my calculator. So my ARV is $750,000. The property, they're selling for 520. Again, I'm already gonna get a discount because of the location that it's at of the high traffic road. So at 467, it's already getting a good deal so far. And then my offer, this is where my offer from my investors will come into play. So my conservative investor, they will want to purchase the property as high as 486, and then an aggressive investor that's more like my style, they will buy it at the most at $469,000. So that's basically what my highest offer will be, and that's what my property's price will be. But again, I'm trying to get a deal out of it, so I will ask for a bigger discount. So I'll try to get lower than 467, maybe 420, 430, and then slowly climb up. Where if I want to wholesale the property as well too, then the difference, I know what the difference is from my where my buyers will be at, and that's where I will wholesale my property for either a 15, 20, $10,000 wholesale fee. So that way they're able to take over it, because again, I see that my aggressive investor, they'll buy it close to like 470. So if I'm able to get it on their contract for 450 and then do a $20,000 wholesale fee, they'll definitely want to take it, and I'll let them know that they're going to be making some money on this. And how they're going to be making some money, I'll let them off I know for sure on the calculator, it automatically does it, how much their profit will be based on the price, the ARV, the type of repairs that it needs. Again, those are my estimates, but of course, part of the inspection is to check it out and see what the inspection tells us. But this is how much they're going to be making. So I'll let my investor know, hey, you're actually going to be making close to like $85,000 in profit on this property. So I mean, it's really up to you on if you want to take it. If you want to be aggressive, then I'll look for somebody else that is willing to pay a little bit more, because again, sometimes you are going to come across buyers that are willing to pay more for your deal, and that's how sometimes you're able to get a bigger wholesale fee as well too. But understanding or where buyers are in terms of like repairs and where the offer will be. And again, you always have to put yourself on presenting your offer first, let them know how much it is that you want, and just negotiate from there as well too. So yeah, but unfortunately for this one, it's not a deal, so it's a little bit more challenging to play with. So I have to move on to something else from there. Now the next thing that we're going to be using is the complete rental calculator. So the way the complete rental calculator is going to be based on properties that are, again, rental properties. So I'm going to be looking for either single family or multifamily properties. Um, what I like to do sometimes is, if I'm looking for rental properties, Off the bat, if they're single family, I like to look for properties that are already on the market for rent, and I like to look for a house. I want to make sure that it's entire home and seeing how long these properties have been on the market for, in terms of like getting it rented. Because sometimes some of these properties that are for rent and they're complete homes being rented out, what we can do, these are properties that you can do a creative finance. Creative finance meaning that you can work with the seller directly to buy the property or maybe do like monthly payments, but then you rent it out to like somebody else and they pay like higher than what your monthly payments is. You can do subject to if there happens to be like a mortgage on the property where you can take over the property's mortgage and from the seller, directly from the seller. And then again, same thing, make sure that the payment is less, but then the rental property can rent for higher than the mortgage payment. So that way you're able to cash flow some of it. And another thing too is these are going to be tired landlords as well too. So maybe the property has been on the market or out for rent for a long time that they're like, they don't want to deal with it. So it really depends on a lot of it. So a lot of single family homes or houses that are being for rented, it's always good looking into because these are the ones that, again, either there's no property management, and if there is, it's perfectly fine, but it all comes down to the owner or the seller and seeing if they might be interested on selling the property at a discount just because they don't want to deal with it, or maybe they want to look into another investment as well too. That's the way I'll find single family homes for that could definitely be good rental ones. But for this example, we are going to be using multifamily. Multifamily is just because the rent can be provided for us on the description from agents. But let's see what we're able to find out from here. And when I look for rental properties, I really don't care about like the area. I just care about what the potentials might be in terms of like the rent on the properties. I don't care how long they've been sitting, if it's like an hour ago or 100 days ago. I just want to make sure that the property does bring some income into play for it if there's enough information provided to us. So, oh, and then the complete rental one, we're going to use the complete rental one calculator over here. We're going to walk through the entire steps of the property's value, which is how much they're asking for, how much I need a deposit on my initial investment will be, the rent, how much the property will rent for, the expenses, and of course, it's going to break down the entire analysis for us if it's going to be a good investment or it's going to be a risky investment, or is it going to be a low risk investment, or is it going to be a high risk investment? So let's check it out really quick. If you have any questions along the way, I know I'm going a little bit fast and I know it's a lot of information, but don't worry, these live Zooms do get recorded, so you are going to be able to access to them on my website, eltonvargas.com, and head over to the real estate education. All the previous live Zooms, all the previous 30 hours of live Zooms are in there for you to go check out as well too. But any questions, by all means, drop it in the chat, and I'll answer your questions as I'm analyzing as well too, because I'm able to at this point, I'm able to analyze and look at some text. So from here, I'm looking from the agent to see if there's any information on it so far, or what kind of details they're able to provide me, which the property is selling as is. That's a good sign. Buyers responsible for their own due diligence. So off the bat, this is an agent that is telling me that I have to do my own homework. They didn't want to get all the information from from the seller directly. So I have to kind of like pull all that information from them and kind of drag it out. If they're a little bit stubborn or stern, if they're very cooperative and they provide me the information, then it's an agent I'll definitely love to work out with. But that's the thing, I have to get in touch with the agent. But what I like to do is I like to use a few platforms to help me understand like the property's rental. The first one is use Zillow Rent Estimate or Zillow Rent Estimator. And I type in the address over here and it's going to give me the range. This is the market's rent, but then this is the estimated range for my subject property. So my subject property can rent from 1,200 to like 2,800. Another one that I like to use is called Sumper. So Sumper, I don't like to type in sumper.com. I like to type in Sumper, and I like to type in the address of the property, but I like to take away the main address or like the street of it and then leave the city, the state, and the zip code. And then the first tab is always going to be like the main one that pops up. And it looks like they made some changes over here. Here we go. Average rent in Manchester, New Hampshire. I'm looking at a house that is 5 bedrooms or four bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, home. And let me see what the rent is. It looks like the rent is 2,900. Zillow, let me know that is 2,300. So their Zillow is playing it safe. Zumper is playing a little bit more aggressive because it let me know a little bit more towards like the end of it, at 20, or a little bit more actually. So I'm gonna go more like 2,500. So I'm trying to push it like a little bit. Worst case scenario, I'm bringing it down to like 23. I'll adjust the numbers down to like 2350, so that way I can see what those numbers are going to be telling me. So this is the way we're going to analyze the rental. So far, also make sure that we're looking at properties that are updated or that are in great condition as well too. So far, the outside of this multifamily looks really good. Great flooring, maybe some little updates that need to get updated as well too. You got to change some doors, some windows, because it looks like it snows over here as well too. So I want to make sure that those are really tight so it doesn't get too cold inside the home. Again, some things are really outdated. And the other thing I want to find out too is, are the tenants still living on the place? Are they under a contract or a lease? Or are they fully moved out? So that's another information I have to find out if I'm getting the property with tenants or without tenants. It's always best to get with tenants because especially if they've been living in there for a while, they're gonna be long-term tenants. But I do see some of them being vacant, so that's the other thing as well too. So some of them do need some updates. They need some TLC. It's what a lot of agents like to call it, some tender love and care. And that's what this actually does need. So it is going to need some updates, some light repairs, and it is a big home as well too. So I don't know how many units need all those repairs. But out of the 4 units, again, how many that are vacant already and how many that are potentially not vacant as well too. So it really depends on it. And it looks like we have a professional office as well too. So that's extra income as well. So 4 residential units or 3 bedrooms and 1 professional office. Let's go with 4 residential units. So they're all 1 bedroom. So 1 bedroom, 1 bath. So that helps it out. So let me take off the studio. Let me take off the 2 bedroom, 1 bath over here, and we'll go based on this. All right, so let me put in my asking price. Asking price is 585. Down payment right now, let's go with the standard 20%, which is going to be $117,000. Interest rate, I'm gonna keep the interest rate high because they're still high right now. So 8% interest rate, which brings my monthly mortgage payment. This is principal and interest already included. It's going to be $3,400. My closing costs, the closing costs range between 2 to 5%. I'm gonna go with 4%. Again, just playing it safe because I don't know how the title and what the escrow fees are gonna be like for New Hampshire. So my initial investment or how much money I need up front to invest on this property is gonna be $140,000. But now let's go through the rental. So we know the price. Now we gotta go through the income. How much income or how much can we get out of the property? And again, I went over to $2,500 for the entire home. If I want to split it into like 4 units, I'll divide like the 2,500 into a 4, which is going to be like 600, maybe 700. Let me check out what an apartment will go for. A 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom apartment will go for. Looks like a lot of them are going for 1,700. Let me see. It looks like they've been raising like the rent, so that's really good because it looks like the highest has been it's like 1650, but 1,700 is a little bit too steep, so I'm gonna play it safe where I see it close to like 1,500. So it looks like I can definitely get more than $700 for this from this property in itself. So it looks like, but again, I'm gonna play it safe and then just stick with that $2,500 price point for right now. Again, I have to collect some information from it. So far, $2,500 of rental income. So far, it doesn't play one of the big investment rules, which is the 1% rule. And what the 1% rule is basically whatever the asking price is, So if we're looking at $585,000, the 1% rule is if you multiply 585 or the asking price of a property, you multiply by 1%. Usually the rental has to be really higher or if you want to break even than the asking price. So we're looking at 585 on the asking price. So the rental should be close to 5,850. So far the rental, what the estimates are telling me, it's not renting for that much. But again, like we did notice, I can rent out a property for 1,500. So it's 4 units. And if I rent it out for $1,500 each side, then that's where I'm able to get close to like the 6,000. Now that it's a property that it's bringing, it does meet the 1% rule. Because again, it was 5,850 on the 1% rule. But again, that's renting it out at $1,500 per each unit. And there's 4 units, so 1,500 times 4 is $6,000. So it looks like I do have to rent each unit at $1,500 for me to make my money on this property. So it looks like I do have to raise it up to that. So if my rental income is $6,000, I do see some garages on the property. There were some pictures of some garages in the back, so that could be extra income as well too, because it makes it really really convenient for some of the tenants to use it as storage or to park their cars, especially during the time that it looks like it snows. I don't know if it gets like heavy snow out there or whatsoever. So that's definitely going to be some extra income that we can bring that I can definitely bring into the table. And it looks like there's a shed, or maybe I'm not sure if that's like the laundry for like everybody. So that could be extra income if there's like any laundry space. So there were 3 units, 3 garages. Those 3 garages we can rent it out at $50 per garage for the tenants. So now it's bringing me an extra $150 a month. So far my income on my property is going to be my monthly rent is 6,150 or 72,150 for the entire year. If I look at my expenses, I could break down my expenses down to like the dollar amount. So from taxes, insurance, HOA, if there's any maintenance, a vacancy, and management, a property management to manage it. But I'm gonna stick to my 40% standard rule. 40% is if if you're investing out of state, and then you're gonna have a property management manager for you. Stick to like 40%, 41%, 42% sometimes because of again depending on what you're looking into. And then if you're managing the property yourself because you're local and then the property is really close to you, then you can drop it down to 30%. So 30% if you're managing yourself, 40% if you have somebody else manage it for you. So far it looks like my expenses are going to be $28,000. So my income minus my expenses looks like I have a net income of $43,000, but something else I have to deduct from it. It is my mortgage, or what we like to call is a debt service. So my debt service for my mortgage, which is the 3,000, was it $3,400? Yeah, my $3,400 a monthly payment is my mortgage and my debt service. Then this is telling me that my debt service for the entire year is close to $41,000. So I have to subtract the two, my net income minus my debt service, and that's going to be what my property is going to be cash flowing. So my property, after like all the expenses and all the mortgage and everything, it does cash flow, but only very little bit. And that's because again, my mortgage, it is very high. It is a big home and it is a huge asking price. But now I got to look at the risk parameter. So that's where we start implementing cap rate. And what cap rate is basically a risk. If the cap rate is very low, then the risk is going to be a little bit higher. And it's definitely good. That definitely hurts it because the property is not going to be cash flowing. It barely already cash flows on itself. So for this property that we're looking, the cap rate it's around 7.4. So it's really close to like average nationwide to close to like a high risk. So if you're looking for a safe risk type of property, you're always going to be aiming for properties that the cap rate is going to be higher than 10%. But also that depends on the area as well too. If you're looking at like high crime, but there's a lot of blue collar workers, and then it's more like a class C and D and C class type of neighborhoods, then those properties are going to be cap rating. The cap rate is going to be significantly high, 15, 20, 30%. But again, there it is on a bad neighborhood as well too. Comparable to this property, it looks like it's in a safe, great neighborhood overall. Great maintenance on the property. It's really getting taken care of. And so it's all about analyzing the area and also what kind of tenants you're going to be dealing with as well too. The only thing I didn't do was do like the street viewer to like get more sense like on the neighborhood as well too. Get understanding of like schools, high traffic roads, what's actually happening within the area. Um, which looks like there's not a lot, but there is this um looks like Varney Street. It looks like it's a main road for this neighborhood as well too. I don't see any bus stops um, on this specific road, just like we saw earlier. But I do see it being like a main road for a lot of the businesses up the street. It looks like there's a college close by as well too. But looks like Barney Street is going to be one of those high traffic roads that we're dealing with. Again, you're gonna have delivery trucks. You're probably gonna have Amazon trucks as well too. And there it is. You're seeing a lot of traffic. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8 cars. So the property is on a location where, again, there's a lot of high traffic going on. So this is one of those properties, again, where we have to look into it and we have to automatically take a 10% discount from it just because, again, it is on a high traffic road neighborhood overall as well too. So 585, take away 10%. It looks like we're already getting like a discount just because of the location of the property on itself. Um, but looking over here back to the calculator as well too, again, if you're looking for a safe investment, again, it's usually going to be 10% or more on the cap rate. And let me see, if it's a 585 minus that 10% discount because of the road, we're looking at 526. So what would that put me at? 526 on the cap rate. Looks like it's gonna be putting me close to like 8%. Yeah, like eight, maybe 8.25 in terms of it. But again, I'm gonna play it aggressive just because I don't know how long the property, some of the tenants, if they're long-term tenants, if the property is vacant, I have to also do some repairs on the property as well too, some updates because there are some stuff that it's outdated. So that's something else that I do have to consider. So that's how I'm able to push it towards that towards a higher cap rate, which again, higher cap rate, it does bring the price down. As you guys can see, that 7.4 or 7.5, that's basically like the asking price. But if I bring the cap rate, I'm buying at a safer price point, then the price of the property decreases. Now let's say the property's cap rate was like 3%, then it'll be a $1.4 million home, but that's not the price for this property whatsoever. So again, it's all about looking at pretty much a lot of the numbers when it comes to like rental properties. You want to look at the neighborhood as well too, make sure the locations are working well because as we just noticed, it's right in front of a high traffic road where there's going to be delivery trucks. There's going to be high traffic. There's going to be college as well. There's a college down the road as well too. So I don't know if there's a lot of parties or a lot of students in the area, and especially if they're in college, a lot of them might be getting drunk as well too. So it just causes a huge liability. So those are little things that you have to notice about your location of your investment property. But again, if you want to play it safe, you also have to get like a better deal on the property whatsoever. So even at $430,000, that can still be a good deal. So now let's implement that price point into the calculator and let's see what it can actually tells us. If we were able to get it at $432,000, automatically my monthly payment, my mortgage dropped from 3,400 down to 2,500. The rent stayed the same. The garages, extra income stayed the same. The expenses the expenses stayed the same, 40%. The only thing that did change was again the price point of the property. So it's when looking at a property in terms of safetiness, the very first thing you have to make an adjustment, it's going to be on the price. The lower the price, the better the deal is going to be. The next thing now you have to look is the income of it. Either their income is under rented, or you're able to raise it up to bring it up to like market standards. Then that's how you're able to you have to rent like the property's rent, so that way you're able to get like a good deal out of it. And then of course the next thing after that, after the price and then the rent, then that's going to be your expenses. You either have somebody else manage it, or maybe it's always best for you to manage it yourself. So that way you can bring your expenses down. Because again, if we were to manage this property ourselves, then as you can see, the cap rate went up a little bit more. The property, again, cash flow out significantly amount as well too. It went from $12,000 up to $20,000. So now you're bringing an extra $8,000 of income into this deal, and you're going to be breaking even a lot faster. Or if you're partnered up with other investors, then you're going to be able to pay them back a lot faster, and then you're able to pick up, especially how rates are right now as well too. They're kind of high. Give it 3, 5 years, then the rates start dropping from there. Then now you're going to pick up equity on the property, and then that's how you might be able to pay back your investors, or your private lenders back with that cash out refinance at a lower rate. And especially with the property already cash flowing significantly, then again, it's a great deal for everybody. So again, it really depends on a lot of those three factors: either the price drops, the rent increases, or your expenses decrease. And that's how you're going to be able to determine the investment opportunity for you. But again, always play it safe by always looking at a 10% cap rate or more on your rental properties. And of course, always negotiate on the deals. Don't be scared to bring in low offers. It's again by giving a shot. And if they don't accept your offer, play the patience game. The patience game is always going to be winning, where they're gonna get sometimes gonna pass a whole month, 45 days, and they're gonna be calling me back and be like, hey, are you still interested on this property? And even though that time passed, you can even probably bring even a lower offer. Well, my original offer was $430,000, but now it's gonna be a little bit less because again, the time has passed. So, and the property is still available as well too. So I need to get like even a little bit better of a deal now from that previous offer that I brought into like the table. So again, there's a lot of factors into it, but that's the way we're going to be analyzing. That's the way you analyze a lot of the rental properties from here. Again, this is a whole different market. I don't know this market. I don't know what the average cap rate is on this market. So those are extra things that you have to do due diligence on. But again, based on our analysis, the property is in great shape, but needs repairs. The property, it's in a great location. It's in a great area, but it's not in a great street. Um, and the property, we don't know how much income it's bringing right now, if it's bringing any, and also how much potential it is that we have. So those are all fundamental informations that you do have to collect on any given opportunity if you're looking for like your own rental properties. That's going to be both on the single family side and on the multifamily side as well too. So hopefully you're able to learn something a little bit, but I'm gonna leave it open right now for some Q&A. If you guys have any questions, by all means, or let me allow you to unmute yourselves. So if you have any questions, you're able to unmute yourself, or if you want to drop it in the chat, by all means, drop it in chat. But it is Q&A time if you have any questions by any chance. Water. No questions? Okay. Well, yeah. Well, if there's no questions, then it looks like that's a wrap for today. I really appreciate you guys coming in. Again, if you want to have access to the calculators, I did drop the link on the description. Head over to eltonvargas.com/calculators so that we can have access to the rental one, the complete fix and flip one. And again, there's going to be future ones. And if you don't have like your own system in terms of like how to manage like your properties, your investors, agents, title companies, there's a CRM available on the Pro Bundle. So make sure you get the Pro Bundle so that we have access to pretty much everything to help you expedite from there. And of course, any questions, you're always able to message me on Meetup. Or if you want to do like a one-on-one series, we can always do a one-on-one as well too. So if you have any, if there's no questions right now, then I'll let you guys go for the night. And I really appreciate you guys coming in. The next event, it is going to be on Friday. On Friday is probably going to be a little bit earlier, maybe. So it's still to be determined, but it's usually at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you want to join on Friday, by all means, definitely join. But again, I really appreciate you guys coming in tonight, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. You guys have a blessed rest of your night and take care.